Hey guys, it's BB202, and today we're having another discussion about one of LEGO Castle's long-standing problems, the lack of new factions. It's been over a decade since we last got a new faction outside of the collectible minifigure line, and it's long past time LEGO addressed this. New castle sets have some of the best designs the theme has ever seen, but the knight minifigures especially are oddly rehashed from past factions and don't do much to expand LEGO's medieval lineup. That's why today's special guest is Goldfyre, one of the fastest growing castle YouTubers. He's created highly detailed lore for his castle world and builds mocks that are perfect examples of what LEGO should be doing going forwards.
Ever since LEGO brought back the Black Falcons a couple of years ago, we have been blessed with remakes of some of the most memorable factions to come out of the castle theme. From full sets like the Forest Hideout and the Lion Knight's Castle to CMF remakes, there have been 7 factions brought back from the dead since 2021. Most of these remakes have been focusing on the classic era of LEGO Castle with figs like the Lion Knights, Black Falcons, and the new Wolf Pack. Sets from that era like the Forestman's Hideout and Magisto's Magical Workshop have also seen modern remakes in the form of gift with purchases. I think it's great that some of these sets from the 80s and even the early 90s have been remade with such attention to detail, even down to the yellow box arts of the time. But I do think that the trend of nostalgic remakes is a bit of a bad sign for the future of LEGO Castle. Let me explain. From the years 1984 to 2013, there were over 20 different LEGO Castle factions created. From 2021 to now, there have been 0 new factions created, even though we've gotten 6 sets in that time. Now, to be fair, it does make sense from a business perspective to reuse some of the more popular factions from the 80s, because a large amount of the Castle fanbase grew up with those sets, and now have the disposable income to spend on expensive remakes from their childhood. But for the people that aren't nostalgic for the 80s, what do factions like the Lion Knights and Forestmen offer us? They both have some pretty simplistic designs, with the Forestmen looking especially dated even with their new modern remakes. And the Lion Knight's color scheme, while classic, looks really jarring next to figures like the modern Black Falcons and the Wolf Pack, with their more subtle color schemes.
Exactly, and as we've talked about before on this channel, I don't get LEGO's obsession with Lion Knights. They've historically been the most boring faction, but it hasn't stopped them from coming back 4 or 5 times with varying ranges of quality. Just because they're one of the oldest factions doesn't mean that LEGO should keep bringing them back. I can understand tugging on nostalgia to sell a large, expensive set, but wouldn't the Lion Knight's Castle have been even more exciting if it had been a brand new faction to guard it or at least attack it?
Let me take us back to 2022. So I was just getting back into LEGO Castle after not caring about it since around the Kingdoms era, and I was super excited to find out about Black Falcon army building through LEGO Pick-a-Brick. I, like many others, bought some with a bunch of different accessories. I was watching army building videos from Shy Time Is My Time, and mock videos from people like Edge of Bricks, Cube Brick, and SW Bricks. You could say I was kind of obsessed. So when I heard that we would be getting a big Castle remake in August, I was over the moon with excitement. I checked for leaked images just about every week, hoping to get a little glimpse at the set and what the new Lion Knight minifigures would look like. When the set was finally revealed at the super cringy LEGOCon 2022, I was blown away by the build and the genuinely impressive scale of the set. However, the minifigures just didn't really do it for me. Don't get me wrong, I liked the new peasant torsos, but I just did not like the new Lion Knights at all. The red, blue, and yellow colors were just a little too loud for my taste, and they paled in comparison to the Black Falcons that came just before them. But even so, the actual build was just way too good, so I of course bought the set day one. When the Lion Knights eventually came to Pick-a-Brick, I didn't place any orders for them, and to this day, I still haven't. Since then, we've gotten even more remakes of classic minifigs like the Wolf Pack and the Dragon Masters. While I think it's fair to say that people love the new Wolf Pack, the same can't be said for the Dragon Master that was pretty controversial when it came out last year. And this is where I believe the divide is being created in the Castle community. You have the older folks that grew up with classic Castle and are happy with the factions of their youth being remade, and then on the other hand, you have the younger people left slightly disappointed in the ever-growing wave of nostalgic remakes. To be clear, there is definitely enough room to be getting these remakes, but I also want to see LEGO do something new with the theme. This doesn't mean that we have to wave goodbye to the Black Falcons and Wolf Pack, but I'd love to see some new factions and ideas come to LEGO Castle.
We're finally seeing LEGO take a step in the right direction by allowing fans to vote on the castle figures that will be included in the upcoming minifigure dispenser ideas set. Fans can choose between the Bull Knights, Raven Knights, and 2 brand new factions in the Kraken and Griffin Knights. The truth is, though, that we'd be much better off if we didn't have to choose. There's no reason why LEGO can't introduce all of these factions in a full theme, or at least in a similar fashion to how they've brought back the classic ones. In the case of the Raven Knights, which Goldfyre has made a key part of his castle world, they've only been released as a collectible minifigure in the past, and even that was 4 years ago. Adding one new knight to this ideas set isn't going to make that figure much easier to army build. Right now, it's going for over $20 a pop on Bricklink. LEGO owes it to their fans to make their more exciting castle figures accessible to people who can't afford outrageous aftermarket prices. What's preventing them from sticking 3 or 4 of these guys in a battle pack and calling it a day? They've actually had similar situations in other themes recently, like the Captain Rex figure that was only available in the Ultimate Collector Series Venator set from last year. They fixed that problem by putting him in a microfighter this year, which allowed Star Wars fans who didn't have $650 available for the Venator to get their hands on a highly sought-after figure. Instead of keeping the barrier of entry high with the minifigure dispenser, that's what they should do here. If they want to keep some kind of incentive for castle fans to buy that set while maintaining exclusivity, give the knight a unique print or weapon. The 2 most common kinds of LEGO fans are collectors and mockers. One group values castle sets for how they look on display, while the other group values them for what they can use for their own builds. I'm personally a collector, but something these groups have in common is that they both value new pieces and new prints. LEGO making a shield, banner, and torso for a new castle faction is like the holy grail for both of us, and they've shown that they can do it at will.
And this is where I'd like to talk about what I'd personally like to see from LEGO Castle going forward. This is obviously a little pie in the sky, but bear with me here. What if in 2025 we had a big, direct-to-consumer, expensive remake of, let's say, the Black Knight's Castle? And what if this set came out in August, at the end of the year? It's a beloved set from the early 90s, and it has a bunch of minifigures in need of a modern refresh. You could even have a Sea Serpent remake come out as a gift with purchase to go along with the castle. This set would appeal to both people who grew up with classic castle, and also appeal to someone who just wants a cool black castle with a bunch of knights. Now imagine at the start of that same year, we also got a full new wave of sets under the theme simply called Medieval. This name change to Medieval would be in line with the way they've been naming sets more recently, and it would make it clear to potential newcomers to the theme what it was about without any confusion. In this wave, there'd probably be around 8 sets, from $15 all the way up to $160, much like a wave of LEGO Star Wars sets or Ninjago operates. This way, there would be some affordable options to get people interested in the theme. An obvious pick here would be a couple of battle packs to introduce the new opposing factions of the theme. I'd like to see some new ideas when it comes to heraldry. My top picks would probably be a fox with the new reddish-orange color that LEGO has just released, and then maybe a tan as the secondary color. As for the other faction, we could get a griffin with purple and silver as their color scheme. Neither of these factions have an inherently evil vibe to them, and I think that's something that LEGO would go for today. Moving up in price from the battle packs, we could get a siege engine set for one of the 2 factions, and also get a small tower or wall for the other faction. This way you could buy both sets, and you could create a siege scene from the 2. I would love to see something like this, because sets like this could both display well for adults, and also have some fun play possibilities for kids. Because that is where LEGO Castle is really falling short today in my opinion. There is absolutely nothing for kids, and even teenagers when it comes to castle sets. The cheapest available castle or medieval set is $100, which is just truly a shame. What I'm really looking for in a new potential castle theme is affordability and ease of access, to get new fans into the theme. I hate having to recommend people go buy an $100 set just to get into the theme. That price point is simply making this theme inaccessible to most people. Like I said, there is a place for the expensive direct-to-consumer remakes, but I would really love to see an affordable full theme alongside it. Is this unlikely? Maybe, but I'm optimistic that LEGO is catching on, even though it sometimes feels like they're not. And that's pretty much all I've got for you today. I'd like to thank BB202 for having me on, and if you're looking for some more castle videos to watch, I would highly recommend you go check out Fit Bricks and Dingo Bricks. They are both putting out some fantastic medieval LEGO videos, and they've been doing it for a while now. Go check them out.
Hopefully LEGO sees this year as an opportunity to pivot away from just leaning on nostalgia to sell castle sets. After all, they're going to need to get younger builders interested in castle at some point to ensure there's another generation of adult castle fans in the future. I don't care how they do it as long as it's affordable. which I understand what that word means varies from family to family. As Goldfyre has shown in the past, it would be incredibly easy to make battle packs that would sell like hotcakes. There's no reason why LEGO can't commission a designer to throw together a ballista and a weapons rack in a $15 box to help introduce a new faction. You could just build a ballista on your own, of course, but kids are kids. They'll always be drawn in by a physical LEGO box on a store shelf, just as I was and kids long before me were. That's how you create a memory that keeps them coming back. And of course, this is anecdotal, but my favorite castle theme is Kingdoms because those were the sets that were on the shelves at Toys R Us when I was a kid. I like a lot of the older factions, but I never had the same connection to them and never will, aside from that one Black Falcon in the Joust set. It would be cool if LEGO returned to Kingdoms in the future, but nostalgia typically doesn't carry over into a new generation. I'm happy with what they've already released under that theme, and I'd much rather have new factions to continue Castle's legacy instead of returning to something they've already done. That said, the Green Dragon Knights are my favorite faction of all time, and LEGO canon should use them as inspiration in the future. That's going to do it for today's video. I want to thank Goldfyre so much for coming on. Please check out his channel, makes great videos, and I'm sure there are more on the way. Today's question is, if you had to choose, would you prefer LEGO stick with their current formula of a couple of large castle sets here and there, or commit to a new castle theme? I'm not saying they can't do both, but if you had to pick between those, which would you rather have? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, I'll be sure to respond to them, and thank you all so much for watching.